Understanding Mother Stories podcast with Adeline Dubreuil. Your 10 minutes to talk about mothering and matrescence. Hello, Mama. I am so happy to see you. And good morning. And today, you know what? It's my birthday. And I had a very different plan for the podcast for November, but I'm going to postpone this for December. And I just wanted to do a raw little episode about my birthday story because I think it's a lesson that is important for mothers to hear and remind themselves of what they are capable of. So just to make a long story short, today's my birthday. And yesterday, my children asked if they could take their money and go buy me gifts. And they had asked last year as well, I remember. But I remember trying to evade the question and be like, no, I don't need anything. And, let's just bake a cake together. You can make me some drawings, put them in my bedroom. And, let's try to have a nice day together. I don't need anything else. But this year, they're, a tad older. They're 4.5 and 8. And I could see that they really, really wanted, and that it was just as much a gift for them to do this than for me. So I was like, okay, this is an exercise in trust for me to, let them do this for me. And so yesterday morning, they made a list of stores that could be interesting to find things for mom, things that I would like. And they both agreed that we could go to HomeSense. So yesterday, they asked me to take them to HomeSense. But there were rules that were coming with it. They were like, Mom, you can't see what we pick. We're going to have to pay alone at the cashier because you can't see what we have chosen for you. We want it to be a surprise. I was like, okay. They were like, we're taking our own money. So we had to have a quick discussion on budgets and how much was too much, for a birthday gift. And based on what they have as well. Anyway, they kind of discussed this together, and I really had to trust and let go, not control what they wanted, not control what was fully going to happen. Because I also want to give them this gift of, I trust you. You're getting older. You are capable of things. You're doing something right and something really kind for mom that I do appreciate more than I can say. So the big sister, who's 8 years old, dealt with her little brother, and eventually I drove them to HomeSense. Once we were there, we chose a moment that was fairly calm. There were just a few kind of like older ladies around. So I was not too scared, but I was worried because then I basically had to let them do their thing and shop. And we're talking a 4.5-year-old and an 8-year-old alone in an aisle. So I went away to a different aisle of the store. Like I was not super far away, but I was still a few aisles away. And I had to trust them both in a store that has more breakables than all of the houses in my neighborhood combined. So I was a little worried first because I didn't have a visual of where they were in the store. And because I was afraid something would happen. But I know my children. I raised them to be careful and to also understand that mistakes can happen if something was going to happen. So I had to trust them, let them go and go a few aisles away and trust that my oldest was also able to handle her little brother. Anyway, it went well, and I told them in which aisle I would be so then they could always come back to me and find me, but I was not allowed to go find them for a while. So that was not the easiest thing to do for me, but it went well. It took a while. I had to be very patient. And eventually my daughter came back and was like, okay, I have the gift in my pocket. You can't see it. I could see kind of what my son had, but I couldn't see the full aesthetic of it. So I just tried not to peek, not to be too curious. And they were like, okay, Mom, we're ready. We can go to the cashier. So we went to the cashier, and as we were waiting in line at the cashier, like we discussed what had happened. I was like, okay, you're sure that what you chose is in your budget? And they were like, yes, it's all good, no problem. And then my daughter was like, well, it's possible that my brother's choice is a couple of dollars over. And I was like, well, it's okay, because we had discussed that if it was just a couple of dollars over their budget, that I would, beep the card. And anyway, so we discussed all of this in the line, and I think a couple of ladies heard us, and everybody was just like, oh, that's so nice what you're doing for your mom. This is amazing. You're such kind children. You're amazing. You have such great manners and things like that, which is always, always nice to hear, especially when you're in a public place, because my children are like every other children. They have their moments, and they're not always easy, and they have meltdowns, and sometimes when you expected the less. But no, that went really well. People were impressed with them. So I felt proud. I was happy with the experience. And comes the point to my story is that, so we went to the cashier. I told the cashier, my children have money. They're paying separately. Those are gifts for me. I'm not allowed to see them. So are you okay with handling this? And the cashier was great. She was like, absolutely, no problem. This is great. I love this. My daughter handled this really well. She even reminded the cashier that she was going to have to give her back some money, because she gave her a bill, and she was like, well, it was not as expensive as the bill, so you have to give me back some money. It was really sweet. It was really good. The cashier was amazing. The kids did really well. And as I was about to pay for my own things, there's another lady that came to me, and she had, a little bit of like an emotional face. And she said, this is one of the most adorable things I've ever seen in a store. Your kids are amazing, and you are doing something great in your parenting, and I wanted to let you know this. And she left. And I just had time I was so, so surprised. I just had, the time to, do a little like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And that was it. And it was powerful. It was really powerful, because I'm someone who works with kids and families and mothers, and I know how important it is to be reminded that the work we put in raising our children as best as we can, and not getting a lot in return. There's no money given for you when you're a full-time mom and you're trying your best. There's not a lot of positivity around it. There's a lot of unsolicited advice, a lot of criticism. But as I've been working with families now for years, I am one who, when I see something great or something hard happening to a mom in a store, I will go to them and give them words of encouragement. This is something I do on a regular basis, and I think it's important we do it. And it had never happened to me. And when this lady came to me, and often I found that the older generation tends to criticize more than they give you positive comments. So I was really, really touched by what she said. And I was like, afterwards, we went to the car, and I discussed with the kids what happened. And I told them I was proud of them on how they handled it all. And I couldn't wait to open my gift, today. And then I reflected on it, and I was like, you know what? I need to put this on the podcast. It deserves a place on the podcast. Not because of tooting my own horn, but because it's a great reminder that we do not, as mothers, as parents, give enough credit to ourselves for the work we put in raising our kids the best we can. We don't do things perfectly. Nobody's asking us to. There's no such thing as perfection. You know what I think about this. But it is important once in a while to reflect on, wow, I left my kids in a store by themselves handling a situation. I had to trust them, back off, and let the thing unfold. And someone told me I was doing a great job as a parent. I'm like, what? But that's a really good lesson to, if you see parents in a store, instead of judging them even in your head, look at what they're doing right. Or if there's a challenge coming up, how can we help as a community make these mothers feel good about their parenting so they can keep working on their parenting? Because that's the important part, and that's the lesson in this story, is that there are mundane things every day we do in our parenting and nobody's telling us we're doing it right. So it is important to remind ourselves and remind each other, even like tell people that you don't know in the store on the street that, Mama, you are doing something right in your parenting. Until next time. Thank you, Mama, for listening to this episode of Understanding Mother Stories podcast. You can find us on Instagram at omamaworld or on our website www.omama.ca.